Several armored vehicles drive through a barren wasteland. Inside one of the vehicles, 4 of the 6 people are seated, shivering in fear. A soldier sitting with them says that they must have already been briefed. He tells them not to leave the designated area and to avoid words and actions that might provoke the prisoners. He tells them to exercise strict caution. A blonde girl says hello to everyone and introduces herself as Lala, saying that she came to teach science. A gloomy guy introduces himself as Dante Kang, also there to teach science. Lala says that it's a nice coincidence. Dante says that science seemed to have the most sign-ups. The man across from them says that his subject wasn't popular and that he was there to teach ethics. The man next to him says that ethics was mandatory for prisoners and that he himself was there to teach music. The guy in light blue says that he was there to teach art, and the lady in red says that she taught math. The ethics teacher says that he can finally breathe now, as no one had said a word the whole way. He says that everyone must have been tense, as no one would have imagined they would end up there, the world's largest prison, nicknamed Hell, Fogland. Lala tells him not to scare them that much, saying that it was still an international prison, and asks what could possibly go wrong. He tells her that the term international prison makes him more suspicious. He asks if they know how the term Fogland came to be. 50 years ago, in the middle of the desert, a massive meteorite had crashed. 5 years later, the great powers of the world joined forces and built a prison on top of the crater. The music teacher says that he had heard many urban legends online about this place, like how it was a facility to imprison aliens. He asks if they had seen the satellite photos of the place showing strange life forms. The ethics teacher says that a scholar had claimed that Fogland opened the gates of hell. He says that they might be going to teach monsters. Dante chuckles and asks if educators like them truly believe such things. He says that people lie in every corner of the world and that this wasn't strange at all. He says that everyone has the right to learn, no matter who they were. The ethics teacher asks if Dante wasn't scared, as even if the rumors were all false, it was still an international prison that housed the world's worst criminals. Dante says that they simply lacked education. They all stay silent after that conversation. After a while, the soldier says that they had 5 minutes until they entered Fogland. As the soldiers say that they have reached a massive wall, they ask for the first gate to be opened. Fogland, the largest prison on Earth, operated by the World Union. The teachers had joined a prisoner education project there. In Fogland, the teachers are welcomed with a welcome banner and an army of soldiers armed to the teeth. The soldiers tell them that taking photographs wasn't allowed, and that they weren't allowed to take out their belongings until they had been through security checks. Dante wonders what anyone would even photograph, as all he could see was fog everywhere. Nothing was visible. The soldier says that the teachers have reached Gate 1 and will now be going to Gate 2. The soldier says that the teachers will be escorted to their classrooms after they had surrendered their belongings. He tells them to follow instructions for everyone's safety. The music teacher says that he understands, and Dante wonders if the soldiers were trying to scare them. All the teachers go their separate directions to different classrooms. While walking to his class with the guards, Dante reassures himself, saying that there was nothing to be afraid of, thinking that it was just a place where people lived. He goes into his classroom and is made to sit in a small room in front of the class, separated by bulletproof glass and thick walls on all sides. He wonders if this was an isolation classroom and thinks that it was excessive. He wonders if they really expected him to teach like this and whether everyone could even see the board. A soldier calls him from outside the door. He says that the prisoners were now entering the class. He tells Dante not to leave his seat no matter what until the end of class signal was sounded, before shutting the door and locking it. Dante stares at the door inside the classroom. It slowly opens, and a bunch of humanoid monsters walk into the class along with armed guards. Dante wonders what he was looking at. The soldiers start removing the shackles of the monsters one by one. Dante tries his best to see if there was any sign of humanity within these beings based on their actions. On top of that, there was one with a metal bracket holding his head upright and one with no eyes. He wonders how he was supposed to teach them. He remembers the ethics teacher saying that they might be teaching monsters, but refuses to believe it, saying that it was nonsense. He thinks that these were people who had lacked education, and that was all. He turns the mic on and introduces himself to them, saying that he was their science teacher. First, he tries to use a professional icebreaker. He says that there were many fun classes like art and music, but science was the most popular in the prison. He asks if they know why that was the case. He asks if they wanted to build a rocket and escape the prison while laughing, but no one laughs with him, except for one prisoner. He thinks that it was getting a bit stuffy. He says that rather than rockets, they were going to start off with an easier, fun topic. While reaching into his bag, he says that the lesson today was getting close to nature. He tells them to take a look at what they had on their desks, a sweet potato. Growing sweet potatoes was usually a lesson for elementary students. Most of these world-class criminals were gang members raised in criminal societies. He thinks that this kind of experience would be unfamiliar to them. Although it might seem trivial at first, with just a small cup, water, and a little attention, they would see the sweet potato grow into something. He thinks that they would surely learn the value of life from this. He tells them that they were all in Fogland as dangerous prisoners, yet they had come to learn today. He says that they were like the sweet potatoes, as they have infinite capacity to grow regardless of their environment. So from now on, he says that they will be growing these sweet potatoes. A prisoner asks if Dante was talking about him. He smashes his hand on the table and asks if Dante was calling him a sweet potato. Dante says that he didn't mean it as an insult and says that he was talking about their infinite growth potential. He sees a prisoner eating the sweet potato and others joining him. Dante tells them not to eat it, as he was only given one for each prisoner. He wonders what was going on and if these people didn't come to class voluntarily. A prisoner tells Dante to cut out the stupid talk and tell them how to make fog. Dante is confused. He asks if they were curious about how it was created, because the prison had a lot of fog around it. The prisoner asks if Dante was a scientist who didn't know fog. Dante says that he was a teacher, not a scientist, then laughs nervously while asking if this was a joke about escaping. The glass in front of him cracks as the prisoner headbutts it, scaring the crap out of him. The prisoner asks if Dante sees this as a joke. Dante quickly hits his radio and contacts the control room, saying that the prisoners were smashing the class. But then he asks himself if this wasn't supposed to be reinforced glass and wonders how it got damaged so easily. The door to the classroom opens. The speakers go off saying code Omega. Armored guards pour into the class. The person in his earpiece tells him to get down and orders the guards to shoot all the prisoners. The guards unload their guns into the prisoners. Dante closes his eyes and ears, unable to bear the sound and muzzle flash. After seeing the bullets hitting the glass as well, he quickly goes to the door, telling them to stop. The control room tells him to hold until everyone was executed. Dante asks if they were going to kill them all just for that. He says that some of them couldn't even see what was in front of them. Then he sees the person he was pitying grabbing a soldier with his bare hands and crushing his skull along with the Kevlar helmet. All the other guards are also torn apart by the prisoners. These monsters were his neighbors from then on. Dante starts gasping for air in a corner of the room, unable to take in what was happening in front of his eyes. He sees a prisoner with a bag over his head looking straight at him while still sitting at his desk. His vision starts fading, and he loses consciousness. The prisoner starts moving after seeing him lose consciousness. He wakes up to a barely functioning ceiling fan in a dark room. He slowly tilts his head and sees a blurry orange blob. Once his eyes focus, he realizes that it was a prison outfit and springs up, alerting the prisoner. They both look at each other for a second, and Dante asks who the prisoner was. He then looks around and sees a crappy toilet and a dirty room. He starts panicking, asking what this place was. The prisoner says that it was his house. Dante asks what the prisoner means, knowing that this man was one of the prisoners. He thinks back to what had happened. An order to kill was given, the guards were slaughtered, and he had fallen unconscious. He gulps and asks if he was inside the prison. The prisoner nods in affirmation. Dante corrects himself and asks if this was Fogland. The prisoner nods again. Dante asks if the prisoner was the one who brought him here, and the prisoner nods once more. Dante asks why he would do such a thing. The prisoner shows Dante the sweet potato and asks him to tell him how to grow it. He asks Dante to teach him. Dante had thought it was ignorance, but this was within the bounds of common sense. He starts shaking and asks why the prisoner would bring him here over some stupid sweet potato. Dante asks why he would drag him into a den of crazy psychopaths for just this. He starts having a meltdown, thinking that the ethics teacher was right. These people weren't human. They tear and kill people at random. He thinks that he was dead as well. Then he notices the guy in front of him hiding his right hand. He wonders if it was a gun or a knife and runs at the prisoner, bumping into him, thinking that he had nothing to lose. The prisoner falls on his back, and Dante quickly grabs the prisoner's neck. He thinks that he had subdued the prisoner, and that this guy was nothing compared to the others. He thinks that this guy barely stood out in class, and that he could handle the situation if he stayed calm. He thinks that he just needs to take the weapon from the guy's right hand, but the guy didn't have a right arm. Dante wonders if he misread the whole situation while sweating buckets. He ties the prisoner onto the bunk bed with his tie and apologizes for using violence, but asks the prisoner to understand, since he ended up here because of him in the first place. He asks if the prisoner wanted to know how to grow sweet potatoes. He says that he doesn't teach brainless people, and advises the prisoner to just eat it himself, as it might be better for him nutritionally. Before walking to the door, he asks when the guards would come, or when mealtime was, assuming that the door was locked from the outside. He thinks that the prison must be on high alert after the chaos that happened, and that security forces must be searching for him. He thinks that getting out would just be a matter of time if he saw a guard. Once he looks out the window, he sees nothing but fog. He starts shaking the door to make some noise while yelling for the guards. The door pushes open easily, confusing him. He asks why the prison door opened so easily. The outside didn't seem like a prison. When the fog lightly clears, he sees thousands of tiny cells all around the crater. He falls on his ass, asking what this place even was, saying that this wasn't a prison. He says that there was no way this could be a prison, and asks where the prisoner had brought him. The prisoner shuts Dante's mouth with his hand and tells him to shut up. He says that Dante had been yelling nonstop. He tells Dante that he can't leave this place, and to just accept it and live there. Dante asks why he would live in this dump. He asks if the prisoner is insane, saying that he was a citizen who didn't belong here. He says that he wasn't like them, that he was different from society's garbage like the prisoners. A massive man appears next to them, and a tear rolls down Dante's eye as he looks at the massive man. Dante says that his comment wasn't directed at him. The prisoner behind him asks what the fat pig was looking at. The massive man lifts his arm and punches Dante straight in the face. Dante is left bleeding, with his shirt stolen. The prisoner says that this was why he asked Dante to shut up. Dante says that it was all the prisoner's fault. He asks why the prisoner keeps doing things that get him in trouble. He asks if the prisoner had no brain to pick a fight with a monster like that when he was already missing an arm. The prisoner springs up and Dante wonders if he said too much. The prisoner starts zipping down his prison outfit. Dante asks what he was doing and apologizes for saying all that. The prisoner removes his outfit completely, and Dante starts screaming. But the prisoner offers the outfit to Dante and tells him to put it on. Dante sees the prisoner's muscles and thinks that he should be more careful around him. He then says that if he wears this outfit, the rescue team might not recognize him. While going through some trash bags, the prisoner says that there was no rescue team looking for Dante and that all the guards were already dead. He says that it was better if Dante didn't stand out from the other prisoners, as that was how Fogland worked. The prisoner puts on a different outfit and says that they should go eat. Dante wonders what was up with this outfit, but then thinks that if it was mealtime, he could meet the guards. Meanwhile outside, the massive prisoner from earlier sings a song while putting on Dante's shirt, saying that it fit him perfectly. He says that the glasses also looked really cool and that he should have taken them too. Just then, someone calls him Honey. A tall figure wearing multiple prison outfits stitched together asks where Honey got that outfit from. Honey stumbles and falls to his knees in front of the figure, calling him boss. He says that it was from a nerd with glasses from the Tofu village, and that he seemed to have just moved in. The boss asks if that was where he was. Honey says that the boss was correct, and that the nerd dared to wear fancy clothes, so Honey took them away right away. He asks if he doesn't look cute in his new outfit. A sword goes through his head, then is pulled back, leaving Honey dead in the alley. The boss says that he finally found the teacher, with a creepy smile. It was like a forest of gray cement, people with skin that looked like camouflage, eyes like those of a starving beast. Dante wondered what was wrong with them, if they were even human or beasts. This was Fogland. The place looked less like a prison and more like a jungle. Dante asks if this was really even a prison and says that it felt way too strange. The man with the bag on his head asks what Dante was saying. Dante says that this was totally weird. He says that people shouldn't be walking freely like this in a prison. Some even looked like they were drunk. Looking up, he sees a few figures and asks if those were people and not some decorations. He asks if Fogland wasn't built by the United Nations and asks how they could run a place like this. The guy with the bag on his head says that Dante's voice was too loud. Dante apologizes while whispering, but then he wonders what he was doing, expecting a criminal to kindly explain things to him. Why was he showing signs of Stockholm Syndrome now? The guy in front of him was a kidnapper, and his eyes were just like the other crazies, just as dangerous. He tells himself not to trust anyone. They make their way to the Chow Hall. It was strangely normal inside the hall. They were all eating in peace. They were even lining up for food. He thinks that there must be a reason for that. He tilts his head and sees a guard in the back. He thinks that he was saved. He tries his best to keep his calm and look just like an inmate and not show that he was different from the others. The guy with the head bag tells the server to give him extra ham. He gets whacked on the head and told to move along. Dante thinks that this was his chance. He asks if the guy was a prison guard, just to make sure. The guard says that he was. Dante immediately says that he was the teacher assigned to the inmate education project. He says that he was Dante Kang. He says that he was kidnapped during the riot by the man in the mask on their right. Not seeing the guard react, he asks if the guard was aware of the riot. If not, he asks him to contact his superiors immediately. He tells the guard to tell his superiors that he was the missing teacher, Dante Kang. Dante sees the officer drooling with some kind of blue liquid. The guard's eyes were crazier than the inmates. He asks what happened to the guard. He gets whacked on the head and told to leave if he wasn't going to eat. He goes back with a tray of food. While he was distracted, another inmate starts eating his food. He wonders why everyone had those crazy eyes. Maybe he was not a guard, he thinks. But he was wearing a guard uniform and had a proper badge, yet there weren't any other guards or officers. He wonders if they were actually looking for him. He wonders what was going on. He thinks that something was wrong, that he was totally screwed, and that at this rate he would be stuck there forever, just like the guy with the bag had said. He calls the guy with the bag his student. Dante asks if he didn't want to grow sweet potatoes. Dante thinks that this was his last resort. Dante says that he will teach him how to grow sweet potatoes, but in return, Dante asks for his help to get out of the prison. He thinks that he just needs to use this guy's stupidity. The guy asks if Dante takes him for an idiot to do all that over some sweet potatoes. Dante says that this wasn't what he meant. He asks if the prisoner wasn't the one who brought Dante here because he wanted to learn how to grow sweet potatoes. He says that once he teaches the guy with the bag on his head how to grow sweet potatoes, he would have no reason to stay there. Dante says that the guy with the bag on his head should at least take some responsibility for bringing him here. The guy thinks for a second and looks away. He says that one has to become the supreme leader to get out of this place. Dante asks what the supreme leader was. He asks if that was the boss of this place. The guy says that someone like Dante could never do it. Dante says that he doesn't want to do it either. Dante asks if only the top leaders could contact the outside world. The guy says that there were only two ways out of this place, either to ascend or to fall. Dante asks what the guy was even saying and asks him to speak in a way he could understand. The guy with the bag tells Dante to stop asking him questions. Dante asks if the guy wasn't going to help him leave. He stands up and says that there was no point in staying near him anymore. He says that he was getting out of this filthy, horrible place. He then says that he would make the guy regret this, because once he got out, the guy with the bag wouldn't be able to escape the law's judgment. He was about to say something about the influence of his family, but stops himself. He figures that the guy already had a life sentence, and trash like him would rot here forever anyway. Just then, he hears someone outside calling for a teacher. Everyone in the hall looks at the entrance. He thinks that the rescue team was here. Dante says that he was there. He starts running toward the exit while shouting. He tells them that he was Dante Kang. He says that he was the science teacher at a public high school, age 32. He runs out while crying. But there wasn't a rescue team outside, only a man towering over everyone else. The tall man laughs while looking at Dante. He bends down and says that they hadn't seen each other in a long time. The tall man asks if Dante remembers him, saying that he took Dante's sweet potato class. Dante starts sweating and says that he does remember. The truth was that he simply couldn't forget. It was the first time he had ever seen someone that huge. The people around them looked shocked, saying that the tall man was one of the shoulders, one of the 6 shoulders of Cell 0, the tower. Dante remembers how this man had killed all those security guards, using another prisoner as a meat shield to block the bullets. The tower asks if it wasn't rude of the guards to come in shooting with guns after strip-searching the prisoners. He says that he didn't need to bother with manners after what they did. He reaches into his throat and pulls out a sword. Dante calls it an unbelievable act. After that, the man danced around, cutting the guards down with single strikes. Dante falls to his knees, asking why they were looking for him. The tower reaches into his pocket and asks if it was obvious that he wanted to continue the class. But he says that he wasn't interested in sweet potatoes and asks Dante to do a real lesson this time, a lesson on how to make fog. As soon as he pulls out the blue orbs, the inmates' eyes all go wide. They all start chanting fog, saying that it was so big. Dante remembers that before the riot happened, the prisoners asked him to teach them how to make fog. He asks if this blue lump was the fog they were talking about. He asks what it was. The tower asks if Dante truly didn't know. He asks how a science teacher doesn't know about fog, and asks if teachers weren't supposed to know everything. Dante says that he had never seen this stuff outside the world. The tower says that they took the class for the fog. He says that the 6 shoulders gathered just for Dante's class, to take him back with them. He grabs Dante by the collar, saying that he might be able to learn how to make it if he tasted it. Dante wonders what was happening. The tower starts pushing the stuff into his mouth. The other inmates' mouths start watering at the sight of the fog. Dante pushes it away, saying that he doesn't want it. It falls to the floor, getting everyone's attention. They rush to grab it like animals, surprising Dante. They all start fighting over it. The tower tells Dante to see with his own eyes that fog was what everyone wanted. He says that fog was gold, a blessing from the gods. An old man manages to eat it, and the others tell him to spit it out. In Dante's eyes, the one who swallowed the fog stood tall in one place, and people began to bite him. His body was torn to pieces, yet the old man was smiling. The tower calls them dirty for getting this excited over a single lump of fog. He says that the old man would live in heaven today, or would gain an incredible talent if there was more fog. He asks if Dante was interested now. Dante, who was shivering, falls to his knees and starts puking. He wonders why he came to this terrible place. He begs them to let him go home. The tower asks what Dante was saying. Dante says that he wants to go home. He says that he can't make it, that he had never seen anything like this before, and that he wasn't a scientist, he was just a teacher. The tower tells him not to be ridiculous, saying that he had seen a drama where a teacher made and sold drugs. Dante says that that person was a chemistry professor. The tower asks if that was different. Dante says that it was. He says that he didn't have a doctorate, that he was just a high school teacher. The whole room goes quiet for a second. Then the tower asks if Dante meant that he was incompetent. Dante asks what that meant. The tower says that he was the first one to find the teacher, and that he thought he had won. He says that he thought he could become the supreme leader while pulling out his sword. Dante had seen this before. The tower says that it turns out Dante was completely useless. That was what his father had said when Dante got his teaching certificate. His father asked if he was planning to teach children, saying that no one in their family had come out without a PhD. He asked if Dante was going to leave a stain on the family name. He asked who would want to be taught by someone who hadn't even passed a single paper in 6 years. His mother told him that he was avoiding things and running away, and told him to try preparing his thesis for 1 more year. His brother told them to stop and asked what was wrong with being a teacher. He told them to let Dante at least do this after failing his doctorate for 6 years. He said that knowing one's place was the most important thing to learn. A father famous enough to be on TV, a mother with a doctorate in law, and a brother who became president of the Psychology Society at a young age. Dante was respected on the lectern, but at home he was treated worse than an animal. At the dinner table one day, his father asks what assignment he had been given. Excited, Dante says that it was a United Nations prison and that he was going to teach people there. He tells his father that it was organized by the UN and that the pay was high. His brother says that he knows that place and asks if it wasn't the one called Fogland. He says that he heard all the crazies in the world went there. Dante says that they were still people. His mother asks if he really had to go that far, saying that he already had a steady income from the new school job he got. His father asks why he was doing this, asking what kind of stunt this was. Dante says that giving a learning opportunity to people who had few chances was something valuable to him as an educator. His brother spits out his drink while laughing. He apologizes and says that Dante sounded quite grand saying all that. He asks if Dante knew that this wasn't professional. He says that this was just impulse born from Dante's desire to be recognized. He says that Dante didn't fail to get a doctorate, but was pretending to have chosen a different path, pretending to have his own mission. He says that Dante acts like he was equal to the rest of them, trying to justify his incompetence with eccentric acts. Dante asks why his brother judged other people's thoughts based on his own. His brother says that he was just worried about Dante. He says that this was recklessness, and that Dante was doing reckless things out of mere inferiority complex. He says that this was proof of Dante's stupidity. Dante thinks that his brother was right. He thinks that he was foolish, with a foolish choice, and that he was going to die in a miserable, filthy, ugly place. He thinks that he should have tried harder for that doctorate. The guy with the bag throws it away while holding a fork, then throws the fork at the tower. It goes through the tower's hand and sticks into the wall on the other side. The sword falls to the ground, and the tower starts screaming in pain, his bones breaking into pieces. He asks who brought a gun. The guy grabs the tower's head, yanks it to the side, and lands a knee strike on the tower's neck. The bones in the tower's neck shatter. The guy lands on his feet, and the tower slowly starts falling. The inmates say that the tower has collapsed. Dante looks at the guy in awe, while the other inmates say that a new shoulder has been born. The inmates quickly back away from him, asking what they should call the new shoulder. He looks at Dante, calls him teacher, and says that they should go. He takes Dante and leaves, and the others think that his name was teacher. Dante asks how he was still alive. He checks his whole body, wondering how he was still alive. He then looks at inmate 182, who saved him, and thinks that he was incredibly strong. He asks if the sweet potato thing was a lie. Dante asks why he even signed up for the class in the first place. He asks if he too did it for the fog. Inmate 182 asks if Dante can make it. Dante says that he truly can't and tells inmate 182 to spare him while apologizing. Inmate 182 says that he originally went because they said they were giving new clothes. He says that there was a line blocking his way. When he asked a person to move out of the way, the person pointed to the front, saying that there was no cutting the line allowed. Inmate 182 asks what the line was for. The inmate says that some outsiders were coming to teach them some stuff. He says that the competition was fierce and that inmate 182 should be lining up too. Inmate 182 says that he doesn't want to. The inmate says that they were giving new clothes to those who get selected so that they could look neat in front of the teacher. Inmate 182 quickly joins the line, saying that he was super excited for this event after so many years. The inmate says that they might learn something amazing. Dante asks why inmate 182 saved him then. Inmate 182 says that he didn't save Dante, but his new clothes. But Dante didn't teach him anything and peed on his new clothes. Dante looks down and realizes that he actually peed on the clothes in the shower room, and a man runs out naked with a swollen cheek. Dante says that he ended up getting his own clothes. He says that he will hurry and wash inmate 182's clothes and return them. He asks if the ragged outfit inmate 182 was wearing was a sentimental piece. He asks why inmate 182 keeps it even though he got a new one. Inmate 182 says that it's because it's his. Dante says that he knows that and asks why he didn't throw away that filthy outfit. Inmate 182 says that it says 182 on it, so it's his. He points at the one Dante was washing and says that one also has 182, so that was also his. He says that they were both his. Dante asks if inmate 182 means that the dirty ones are also precious to him and that he didn't wash it because he was missing an arm. Dante offers to wash the outfit for him. Dante had to scrub that one for hours to clean it a bit. Back at inmate 182's house, Dante hangs all the clothes up to dry. He looks at his watch, thinking that a whole day had passed trapped in the prison. Leave escape aside, monsters called the Shoulders were looking for him now. He thinks that they might have learned his location from the earlier commotion and that he might have to leave this place tomorrow. He thinks that he should have eaten that disgusting soup earlier. But then he sees the sweet potato. He looks up to make sure inmate 182 was sleeping, while thinking that maybe he could eat the sweet potato. He wonders how he ended up picking stuff like this to eat from the ground. Inmate 182 quickly whacks the sweet potato off his hand. He tells Dante to screw himself. Dante says that he was just very hungry and asks if inmate 182 could give him just a little to eat. Inmate 182 says that he refuses. He quickly engraves his number onto the sweet potato and says that it was his. Dante thinks that this was absurd. He asks if inmate 182 was going to grow it, as he didn't even know how to grow it. Inmate 182 says that it doesn't matter, and says that he would kill Dante if Dante kills his sweet potato. Dante thinks that this guy used to brag about his pride over sweet potatoes, and now look at him. He then realizes that inmate 182's vocabulary was kindergarten level. Inmate 182 tells Dante to close his eyes to hide the sweet potato. His behavior was almost primitive, but then Dante thinks that this could be favorable for him. Dante says that inmate 182's sweet potato was already fated to die. Inmate 182 asks why that was the case. Dante says that inmate 182 had cut it to engrave a number, and the sweet potato had gotten sick because of that. He says that the sweet potato was going to catch a terrible disease called browning. He sees inmate 182 starting to freak out. Dante then says that there was a way to revive it, but then he says that after their trade failed, it was hard for him to tell this to inmate 182, but then he says that he was going to give one piece of information. He says that it needs sunlight. He tells inmate 182 that Fogland's fog density was thick enough to block sunlight. He says that inmate 182 might have to go to a place with thinner fog. Inmate 182 says that the tofu village they were in right now had the least amount of fog in the prison. Dante says that this won't do, and asks if inmate 182 can see that his clothes were still not dry. He says that at minimum, they need to get to the gate in the front of the fortress, the entrance of Fogland. At a warehouse somewhere in the prison, a man was building some form of scaffolding around the tower's neck. He asks how long this was going to take. One of his underlings tells him not to worry, as he had brought the best architect. The tower says that he should have brought a doctor while calling him an idiot. He then asks what even happened to him. He says that his talent accumulated for a long time in the fog. He says that the strength of his spinal bones was stronger than rebar, especially his thick neck bones, but it was broken with a single strike. He says that the teacher guy was done for. He says that he was going to catch that brat, and that he was definitely monopolizing the fog somewhere. Just then, someone says that it seems to be true that the tower had found the teacher. It was the guy who had attacked the reinforced glass during the riot. He says that it also seems to be true that the tower's proud neck was also broken. The tower says that the other guy has a bad habit of showing up randomly at someone else's hideout like a rat. The man asks if they didn't have an alliance, and that they would share if they found the teacher. The tower tells the man to stop joking, and says that he was going to become the supreme leader anyway. The hammer disappears from the architect's hand. The man appears behind the tower, saying that the tower's dream was too big for the talent he had. The tower asks if the guy was attacking an injured man, and if that wasn't too cowardly. The man says that he doesn't see things like that with people like him. He says that he just wants to smash people like the tower. He smashes the tower's neck with the hammer. He was the shoulder of Section 0, the Hound. He slaughters all of the tower's men before leaving. He tells his followers that they were leaving to go to the tofu village. They make their way to the tofu village on their bikes. Meanwhile, Dante and inmate 182 were out looking for sunlight. Dante asks what was in the bag for it to be this heavy. Inmate 182 says that it was his. Dante asks if the stuff in the bag also had 182 written on it. Then he asks what Mr. 182's real name was. Inmate 182 says that his name was One Arm. Dante asks if inmate 182 was joking. Inmate 182 says that this was what everyone called him. Dante asks if inmate 182 doesn't have a proper name. Inmate 182 says that this was what they all called him. Dante asks how they can call someone that, and says that it was too uncivilized. He says that he would rather stick with 182. He then asks why inmate 182 went around wearing a mask. He asks if inmate 182 was some kind of thief or robber, and asks how inmate 182 even ended up in Fogland. Inmate 182 says that he was always here. Dante asks what that was supposed to mean. Inmate 182 asks why Dante asks so many questions. He asks if a teacher wasn't supposed to know everything. Dante says that teachers were people too. Inmate 182 says that Dante also talks too much and that his voice was too loud. Dante says that it was an occupational hazard. After walking for a while, Dante plops on the ground, asking if they could rest for a bit, saying that he was too hungry and that he didn't have any energy. Dante asks how much further it was to the entrance. He says that they have been walking for 2 hours already, but they kept seeing the same path over and over again. Inmate 182 says that he doesn't know the way. Dante gets angry, asking why he was only telling him this now. He asks if they have just been walking around for 2 hours for no reason at all. Dante says that this guy was driving him crazy. He drops to the ground and says that he can't go on. He tells inmate 182 to either carry him or bring him some food if he wants to save his sweet potato. Inmate 182 also falls down. Dante asks what inmate 182 was doing. He walks up to inmate 182 and asks if he was all right. He pulls off inmate 182's mask and is surprised to see inmate 182 drooling the same way as the others. He starts slapping inmate 182 and asks if he was sick, telling him to get a hold of himself. He turns around and tells inmate 182 not to leave him alone. He starts shaking inmate 182 and tells him to come back. While he was begging inmate 182 to wake up, something comes flying toward him and lands right behind Dante with a crash. Dante turns around as the man brings his face close to Dante's to examine his eyes. He asks if Dante wasn't a normal person. Dante asks who the man was. The man says that he heard some loud noises and got curious about what was going on. The man takes Dante to his house. Dante starts gulping down the food he was given. A woman tells Dante to take it slow, saying that he was going to get indigestion. She says that she has more if he wanted. Dante thanks them for saving him, thinking that they were normal people. The man says that his name was Rambutan, and the girl says that she was Lychee. Dante tells them that he was Dante Kang. He says that this was the first time he had met someone he could have a normal conversation with. He says that he wasn't expecting there to be a woman here. Lychee asks if she really looks like a woman. Dante asks if he was wrong. She says that she cut her hair to look more like a man. She says that being a woman in Tofu Village makes them stand out. Rambutan says that they came from the inside. He says that the closer they get to the center, the concept of blocks pretty much disappears. Dante asks if there were a lot of normal people like them in the center. Rambutan says that was exactly the case. He says that Tofu Village was full of losers who got pushed to the side. He then asks if Dante was new in the prison, or if Dante just hadn't done the fog yet. Dante says that he wasn't actually an inmate. Rambutan asks what that means. Dante says that it was hard for him to explain everything due to some circumstances, but he explains that he was kidnapped by the guy who was collapsed on the bed next to them. Rambutan asks if Dante was saying that he was kidnapped into Fogland. They both look surprised and ask if he was kidnapped during the teacher kidnapping operations. Dante wonders why they know about that. He asks how they know about it. Rambutan says that everyone knows about it. He says that the shoulders set it all up beforehand. He says that they even took over so no one else could attend the classes. Dante wonders how the administration didn't know about it if all the inmates did. Rambutan says that Dante was like the main character of the whole ordeal. Dante says that he might be out of line, but asks if Rambutan was a spy for the enforcers or something, just to make sure. Lychee asks what happened to inmate 182 and says that she had never seen an enforcer working for the shoulders like inmate 182 before. Dante says that inmate 182 might not be one of the enforcers. He says that inmate 182 kidnapped him just to learn how to make sweet potatoes. Rambutan bursts out laughing, asking if Dante was serious, and asks why it would be sweet potatoes of all things if it wasn't for fog. Tears start rolling down Dante's face after seeing them laugh at his situation, which was like something out of a black comedy. He says that these guys really were normal, laughing in sympathy. Lychee tells Rambutan to stop laughing after seeing Dante cry. Rambutan asks if Dante was being held captive by inmate 182. Dante says that he doesn't think that was the case. He says that he was just traveling with inmate 182 as a makeshift bodyguard, but then inmate 182 suddenly collapsed, and Dante thinks that it may have been heatstroke. Lychee says that it was limbo. She says that it's a type of withdrawal symptom, withdrawal from the fog. She says that Dante should have seen the people sprawled out on the streets, and that they fell into limbo because they couldn't get any fog. She says that they snap out of it eventually, but if the limbo repeats, their brains start to melt. Dante asks what exactly this fog was. The two of them look at each other and say that Dante really doesn't know anything about Fogland. Rambutan says that fog was a divine medicine that grants people talent. He says that it amplifies a talent that a person didn't even know they had, or one they had always yearned for. Dante asks if something like that was even possible. Rambutan says that it was not only possible, but that it also allows a person to transcend human limits. Rambutan says that they were going to use their powers to break out of the prison. Meanwhile, the Hound reaches inmate 182's house, but it was empty. The Hound says that they couldn't have gone far. He says that the teacher was still in Tofu Village. The other shoulders of Block 0, Bone Eater, Non-Face, Fuzzy Back, and Drill Head, were also on the move. Lychee says that they will surely make it out. Dante asks what they mean. Rambutan asks if Dante wants to come with them. He immediately says yes, but then he says that he appreciates the offer, but as a civilian, meeting the guards or the operating bureau should come first. He says that if he gets involved with the prisoners and tries to escape, he would become a criminal charged with aiding an escape, and that's only if the escape succeeds. If it fails, it's over for him. Rambutan says that Dante will never be seen again by the operating bureau, or anyone else for that matter. He says that no one would try to enter Fogland. He says that there is a thing called fog addiction. One wrong step and a person will never be able to live without fog. He says that the same goes for Dante. Dante says that he has never used fog before and that he never plans on using it either. Rambutan says that it isn't about his will. He asks how long Dante has been inside the prison for 2 days, maybe 3. He asks if Dante has thought about the dense fog in the prison. He says that the fog itself is particles of fog. Dante quickly closes his nose. They call it the God-given gift that grants talents. To manifest that talent, countless fog particles are needed. But to become addicted, the fog particles in the air alone are enough. The fog slowly seeps into a person's lungs and constantly makes the person crave more and more fog. And if they can't obtain fog, they eventually fall into limbo. Dante asks if this means that he is already addicted. He asks if he is already fucked. Rambutan says that there is still a chance for Dante. He says that limbo is the first stage when it really starts. He says that everyone's tolerance is different, so he isn't sure when it will be Dante's time, but there is no time to relax. Dante asks about them. He asks if they can really escape. He asks if they aren't already addicted. Lychee says that he's right and that they are already screwed, but still, she says that she has never heard of anyone who left this place alive. She says that maybe in the distant future, recovery from the addiction might be possible, or if they expose the truth about what's happening in Fogland, an antidote might be developed. She says that they promised each other that they won't die in this place. Rambutan continues and says that even if they fall into limbo for life and forget each other, they would be under a clear sky together. Dante thinks that it's annoying, but real. They mean what they say. Between the two of them, he sees 182 looking at him. He screams, alerting both of them, saying that he woke up. Dante wonders what he's supposed to do, not wanting to waste any time on the sweet potato. He wonders if 182 would attack him if he told him that he was going to escape this place with them. He thinks that 182 would easily be able to kill all 3 of them after seeing what he did to the tower. 182 reaches into his pocket and asks if the coast is clear while pulling out his sweet potato. Dante starts scrambling for words, but Rambutan calls him and asks why he's so scared. He says that 182 is just a fog zombie. He says that once someone falls into limbo, they have no strength until their next fog. He says that a normal person like Dante should surely be able to win against him. Dante says that this is a relief, as he was worried that the 2 of them would get hurt. Rambutan asks that if 182 is a problem, he could just kill him now, while lifting his leg up in the air. 182 looks directly into Rambutan's eyes without fear. Dante quickly stops Rambutan, saying that there's no need for this. He says that there's no need to kill him. He walks up to 182 and says that he is leaving the prison. He says that he has no intention of living in this place, and that they should each go their separate ways from then on. 182 asks about the sweet potato, and Dante sighs. He grabs the sweet potato from 182's hands and goes to a water tap to put some water into a cup. He returns the sweet potato in a cup half filled with water. He says that the potato will grow on its own like this, of course, if it gets enough sunlight. He pulls 182 off the bed and says that now he needs to show his precious friend the sunlight. He asks 182 to hurry, as the sun is about to set. 182 says that he doesn't know the way. Dante says that he doesn't know either. He asks Rambutan to chase 182 away while saying that he wants to escape with them. He says that he doesn't care if he gets shot or arrested for aiding an escape. The cup of water with the sweet potato falls to the ground, along with 182. He looks at the sweet potato lying on the ground and remembers when she asked him if he knew what a puppy or a cat was. 182 shakes his head to say no, and she tells him that they're animals, just like crows with fluffy fur, very small and cute. And if they are raised by a person, they understand certain words. She says that if you tell them to come to you, they come running. While patting his head, she says that she also wants to raise a puppy. With a tear in her eye, she says that she will do it someday when she is outside. He reaches his hand toward the sweet potato and tells it to come to him. Meanwhile, outside, a couple of inmates measure some marks on the ground, saying that it moved 20 centimeters from the last time they checked. The other asks if that guy they were holding tried to escape the prison and ended up like that. After pushing 182 out of the house, Dante asks what their plan is to break out of there. Rambutan says that he will show Dante the plan while crouching down, his legs looking like compressed springs. He bursts up through the roof of the building. Dante asks what just happened. Lychee says that Rambutan has an incredible talent for jumping and that their plan is to jump over the wall. They go to a vantage point, and Lychee hits the lump on her head, making her eyes glow bright. Later inside, she draws a map of all the areas they've been to. Dante says that her talent is like a photograph and asks if she has drawn all of Fogland. Lychee says that she drew the map while coming to this place from the center. She says that it's just a fraction of what she has recorded. Dante wonders how large this prison even is. She says that judging by the size of Tofu Village, they have come quite far. She says that they might reach the edge of Fogland soon. Dante says that she missed something. He says that there were 4 vagrants around a spot she missed. She takes away the pen and asks why she has to draw them. Dante says that it's to mark potential threats. He points at a red mark and asks what it is. Rambutan and Lychee immediately look at Dante and then at each other with serious looks. Rambutan says that it doesn't matter, as they're leaving this place soon anyway. He asks Lychee why they're going, and she points to the right. Rambutan grabs them and starts jumping again, and Lychee starts taking pictures once more. Meanwhile, at the location Dante pointed out, 4 people stand there. A man asks if they have any fog. All 4 of them look at him, confused, asking what's up with the idiot. 182 asks again if they have any fog, and they ask if they look like they have any. 182 tells them to empty their pockets. One of them hits 182 and asks if he's gone crazy. He starts kicking 182, saying that they're already starving and don't need to deal with this nonsense. Another guy says that this worked out well for them since they're hungry and says that they should eat up. He says that he was told human flesh contains fog and that Bone Eater eats people for the fog too. The others ask if he's really talking about eating a person and tell him to hold out until lunch since it isn't long. He calls them cowardly and says that they have to get at least a little fog from this guy. He asks where he should start eating from. He asks if he should cut off 182's head and drink his blood or gouge out his eyes. He gets slapped in the face from behind, sent flying by the hound. He crashes into the other guy inside the alley. The fat guy asks if Steven is all right, his ears are bleeding. When the others look at the man who hit one of them, they immediately realize it's the hound and run off, leaving Steven unconscious in the alley, saying that 182 must be part of the hound's crew. Hound crouches in front of 182, saying that he finally found the baghead. Back during the riot, Hound was the one who broke through the reinforced glass and went into the teacher's room. He grabbed Dante and fled, thinking that he had won. He calls the others stupid, saying that they were too busy fighting to even notice that the teacher was gone. He curses the tower for using one of his crew members as a shield, saying that there was never an alliance in the first place. But then he notices something. One of them followed him. He twists around and asks which crew 182 belongs to. Judging by his looks, he asks if 182 is with Bone Eater or Drillhead. 182 lifts his sweet potato and asks if they are considered animals too. The hound asks what 182 is talking about. 182 says that if the hound doesn't know, he can ask the teacher instead. The hound asks what this crazy talk is, saying that he's already in a shit mood. He clenches his fist, calling 182 a moron. 182 nods his head, saying that he should wake the teacher back up. Hound drops Dante and bursts forward, saying that 182 is too annoying. His fist flies toward 182's face. 182 ducks back, leaving the hound surprised and completely open. He straightens 2 fingers and strikes the hound's side like a bullet. The hound falls to the ground, wheezing in pain while rolling, as 182 takes Dante away. The hound grabs 182's head bag while calling him a thief and asks if the teacher is all right. Hound pulls off the bag on 182's head and says that he can't believe he's been looking at such a pathetic face. 182 asks if the Hound has any fog, and the Hound asks if this is limbo. A picture of the former second-in-command of the Hound's crew is shown, the one the tower used as a shield, Didet. Cracking sounds of bone echo as they count, making sure they're all broken, saying that this guy is totally crazy. They tell him to say where the teacher is if he doesn't want his own toe fed to him. 182 says that he'll tell them if they give him some fog. The guy with dreads tells the Afro to break one more finger. The Afro says that they're already all broken. The guy with dreads says they should break his toes next while trying to remove 182's shoes. The new second-in-command, Slick, says that at this point, 182 would stop feeling pain and asks Hound if they shouldn't just give him one fog to get the information. Hound says that they can never give 182 fog. Slick asks what's so scary about him. He says there's no way a skinny runt like 182 could be scary. Hound asks if that's all Slick sees in 182, a scrawny kid. He tells Slick to look deeper. He says that this is a body trained to the extreme. He says that 182's body fat looks to be under 5%. One of the members training in the back says that 182 is tough and perfectly cut. Slick asks what's so good about that, asking if less fat doesn't make you hit even worse. Hound says that 182 doesn't even seem to feel pain at all. Slick tells Hound that the other shoulders are already on the move. The news of the teacher being in Tofu Village has spread. He says that if the teacher falls into another shoulder's hands, the Hound's crew wouldn't stand a chance. He says that Hound broke the alliance too thoughtlessly, and that killing the tower was a mistake no matter how he thinks about it. Hound says that he only has blood revenge for those who harm his brothers. He tells Slick to act like a worthless piece of crap. Slick says that they need to gather more fog fast, and that Didet would have wanted that. Hound smashes his hand on the table and springs up, leaving Slick startled. Hound says that they won't let Didet's death go in vain. He says that they will ascend together for Didet. He cheers for Didet and starts drinking. Everyone else cheers too, except Slick. Hound spits his drink out at Didet's picture and falls to his knees. They ask if he's all right. He tells them to stop making a fuss and says that he's just choking. In that brief moment when he was hit by 182, the strike was precisely aimed at Hound's ribs and stabbed in. He thinks that it must have been intentional. His liver functions have worsened since then as well. He throws the can at 182 and says that he doesn't know what the others think, but he wasn't fooled by 182. He says that what he did wasn't luck but technique, especially in Fogland, where people only trust power from fog and pick fights. He asks if it was Krav Maga. He taps 182's shoes and says that they're combat shoes. He asks if 182 is a soldier. Outside, Dante and the others make it to a fenced area. Dante thinks that it looks like an exit while slowly walking toward it. Rambutan pulls him back into cover and tells him to wait. Lychee asks if he didn't see it, the watchtower. Dante asks if they think there's someone in the watchtower. They say that they don't know. Dante says that if there's a guard in there, he could go alone. Lychee asks him not to be crazy and asks what he plans to do alone. She says that the best he could do is get close to the door. Someone cuts her off and says that they'll shoot him. He says that the guards start shooting without warning if someone gets too close. Lychee asks if that's the case, before all three realize that she's talking to a strange sweet potato peeking out of the ground. They all stumble back. Dante asks what that creature is and asks if it's a sweet potato. He tells Dante not to call him a sweet potato. Dante recognizes his face from class and tells the others that this is one of the people who attended his class. Rambutan quickly steps between them and tells Dante to step back, saying that this person is one of the shoulders. Dante wonders how this guy could be on the same level as those monsters. A group of inmates with cones on their heads comes running and starts placing cones in front of them, setting a perimeter. The man jumps out of the ground and says that his name is Drillhead. He says that he's the man closest to becoming the supreme leader and tells Dante to go with him. Rambutan kicks Drillhead in the face while pulling Dante back, saying that the teacher is going with them. Drillhead is launched back into his minions and asks what Rambutan thinks he's doing. Rambutan tells him not to interfere, saying that he found the teacher first. Drillhead pushes his minions aside, asking where a dog like Rambutan crawled out from, and asks if he doesn't know how to be afraid. He takes a ballet stance and starts spinning inhumanly fast, then drills into the ground with his sharp head. Rambutan says that he's coming. Drillhead travels underground and appears behind them, laughing. Rambutan kicks him down again, but Drillhead pops up like a whack-a-mole, appearing from all sides. Dante crouches down to avoid the rocks flying everywhere. After a while, Drillhead finds a gap in Rambutan's defense and strikes him straight in the ass, sending him flying. Lychee shouts his name. One inmate asks if that was a woman's voice. Lychee quickly covers her mouth, but they start gathering around her. Drillhead asks if he just heard a woman. One inmate rips her jacket open, confirming that she's a woman. Lychee tells them to let her go. Dante watches her struggle and thinks that this is all because of him. He grabs a rock and throws it at one of the inmates holding Lychee, hitting him in the head. Everyone stares at him in shock. Lychee asks if he's all right. Dante starts throwing rocks wildly, hitting everyone, including Lychee. She grabs his arm and tells him to snap out of it. Dante asks why Lychee's head is bleeding. She tells him to forget about it and run. Drillhead says that the woman is quite pretty. Rambutan and Drillhead lock eyes and charge. In an instant, Rambutan grabs Lychee, and Drillhead grabs Dante. Drillhead dives back underground with Dante. Rambutan screams Dante's name. Drillhead starts drilling down. Meanwhile, back at the Hound's hideout, the Hound asks if 182 was a soldier or something from the Special Forces. The Hound says that he himself was from the Special Forces, and that he used to be the guy who fought real fights, before coming to Fogland, that is. While walking away, he tells a guy named Slick to take 182 down. He tells Slick to show him every dirty trick he had, and not to give 182 any fog either. Hound leaves, with the door shutting with a bang. Slick starts cursing at Hound after he has left. A man behind him asks if Slick was going through with it, and asks if he should do it instead. Slick asks what they were even doing. He calls Hound irresponsible and a person without the qualities to be a leader. He asks if it should really be Hound who becomes the supreme leader. He says that if there was a lot of fog, then anyone could get the chance to become the supreme leader. He says that Inko was good at drawing, and in a way, he also had qualities of becoming a leader. He says that Bulk knows how to use his weight well, and that everyone else also had potential. Bulk asks what Slick was getting at. Slick says that he has been feeling his IQ rising lately. He says that every morning, little by little, he realizes how stupid Hound really was. He says that trying to become someone through the logic of strength was old now. He says that it was the age of brains now. Bulk asks what Slick was going to do. Slick says that he was going to find out where the teacher was, and then, instead of sharing the information with Hound, he tells the rest of them to decide who they wanted to follow. While kneeling in front of the badly beaten up 182, he asks if 182 really wanted the fog that badly, while pulling a lump of fog out of his pocket. He says that he would give one to 182 if he wanted it. Meanwhile, Dante falls out of a sewage pipe behind Drillhead. Drillhead looks back at Dante and welcomes him, saying that Dante was now in his underground kingdom. Slick throws the fog into his mouth, saying that in return for the fog, 182 had to work under Slick's command. He says that 182 could share information about the teacher later. He says that 182 won't last without fog for long, and tells him to think it over while dangling the fog around in his mouth. He starts swallowing it while saying that he doesn't give chances twice. 182 gets extremely close to him while he is swallowing the fog and rips it out from inside his throat with his teeth. 182 rips the fog out of Slick's throat and disappears from his side in an instant. The others don't even have time to understand what had happened in front of their eyes. Slick falls back, spraying blood everywhere. They run up to him, asking what had happened to him, that his throat was suddenly slit. Then they hear something. 182 is trying to readjust his fingers after they had been broken by Hound. Sweat starts rolling down Inko's face, looking at 182 staring at them, eyes glowing blue, fog coming out of his mouth. In the underground base, Dante wonders if Rambutan and Lychee managed to escape. He thinks that they probably did, and that by now they must have left him behind and gone ahead. He thinks that they had no reason to wait for him anyway. He thinks that he was done for, seeing Drillhead sitting right in front of him, while being completely surrounded by Drillhead's minions. Drillhead asks if the teacher can really make fog. He says that the guys in Tofu Village had said that he could, that the teacher whipped up fog in an instant, ate the fog, and broke the tower's neck. Dante wonders how a rumor like that even starts. Drillhead asks again if it was true, and Dante is about to say that it can't be true, but remembers what happened the last time he said he couldn't make fog, and thinks that maybe he should admit to it. He tells Drillhead that the rumor was true. He says that he quickly made a huge fog and swallowed it. He says that the tower fell onto his thigh like the Pisa Tower. Drillhead calls bullshit and tells Dante to stop lying. He says that he isn't as dumb as the other shoulders to believe in the ridiculous superstition that a science teacher could make fog. Dante asks what Drillhead means by superstition. He says that if no one knows how to make it, then the fog shouldn't exist at all. Drillhead says that fog wasn't made. One day, it just fell from the sky like a gift from God. Dante remembers that 50 years ago, a massive meteorite had struck the middle of the desert. He wonders if that meteorite was the source of the fog. Drillhead says that it has already been 50 years, and that there was a rumor that there wasn't much fog left, and that Judgment Day was coming. Dante asks if it was only a limited resource. Drillhead says that Dante is correct, and that with little fog left, the prisoners were all struggling, but the fog just cycles around. He tells his minions to bring something. They drop a massive man on the floor. Dante asks what this was supposed to be. Drillhead tells him that it was someone who died after taking fog. He asks if Dante could separate the fog from this guy's blood, scientifically. Dante asks what Drillhead was getting at. Drillhead asks if there wasn't that one 3D maneuvering device or something that spins around. Dante says that it's called a centrifuge. Drillhead says that that's right, and that they could use the device to separate the fog components from the blood. He says that people who took a lot of fog have it infused in their bodies. Dante asks if Drillhead wanted to squeeze the corpse for the fog. Drillhead asks if it makes scientific sense. Dante says that if it was fog concentration, wouldn't it be better to open up their nostrils wide and try breathing it in, since there was mist everywhere? Drillhead grabs Dante by the neck and asks if Dante was joking. He asks if he would be searching for fog if there was enough of it. He asks how they are meant to gather air, scrape it together, and compress it inside a prison. Dante says that he can gather air into mass. When night passes and the sun rises, the mist accumulated on building windows and roofs starts turning into water and droplets infused with fog. Dante says that it can be done. He says that even air can be gathered. The door to Hound's hideout springs open. Hound asks if everyone was ready for breakfast, but no one answers him. They are all already dead. His eyes go red, and he starts screaming from the top of his lungs while falling to his knees. At the Chow Hall, 182 rolls up with a swollen arm, going straight to the front, pushing past everyone. He asks the servers to give him water. The server tells him to stop making a fuss and line up. The people he pushed past also tell him to line up like the others. They ask if he was some kind of newbie who doesn't know the cafeteria rules. 182 lifts his swollen arm and smashes it on the counter, scaring everyone, while asking them for water once again. He gets his water and puts the sweet potato inside it, leaving it in sunlight and waits, staring at it. Dante sees liquid fog droplets rolling down a cloth, dripping into a container in the contraption he had built. He shouts that it's done, that he made fog water. He thinks that he was a genius, that he was saved now, that no one could touch him now in the prison. By the evening, the sweet potato hasn't grown. 182 says that he was fooled. He says that he was going to kill that teacher. Meanwhile, Rambutan and Lychee corner an innocent-looking prisoner, asking if he wanted to break out with them, saying that they would help him leave this place together. They tell him that they have a plan to get out. The inmate reaches into his jacket and pulls out a knife, telling them to stop spouting nonsense and to get lost. While walking through the alley, Lychee says that no matter how naive and dumb someone looked, there was no one in this place who didn't know about that thing. Rambutan says that Dante may have been the only one who didn't know about it. Lychee says that Drillhead's hideout is on her map. The fog catcher, a device that produces water from air in arid countries or dry regions. The principle was simple. Water vapor in the air condenses at the dew point when the temperature drops. At dawn, when temperature falls, moisture in the fog was captured through a mesh-type net and converted into water. Replace the net with a breathable insect screen and shape the bottom into a curve to guide due to the collection area. The water gathered like that surely contained a large amount of fog, and since the humidity was high, he managed to make even more than expected. Drillhead asks what fog water was. Dante says that it was water made from pure fog of Fogland, although he couldn't guarantee the concentration. Drillhead dips his hand in the water and sucks the water from his finger. His eyes go wide and he says that it tastes just like fog. He starts dancing, saying that it really was fog. He says that they now have infinite fog. The minions grab Dante while calling him teacher and start celebrating him. Later that day, Dante wears his tie over the prison outfit. Everyone claps for him, saying that the outfit suited him well. Drillhead says that maybe Dante was a suit guy by nature and says that he looks totally different now. He asks if Dante likes the refit. Dante says that it was made nicely. Drillhead says that no one would lay a hand on Dante from now on, as clothes tailored this perfectly weren't made for just anyone. Drillhead welcomes Dante as one of them, and says that they would treat him with the highest respect. Dante thinks that Drillhead was the man closest to the supreme leader as of now, and to get out of here, one needed to become the supreme leader. Dante thinks that he could contact the administration through this guy. Drillhead says that they were holding a grand fog festival today. He says that thanks to Dante, they didn't need to conserve fog anymore. He says that they were going to use every bit of fog they had gathered so far for Drillhead's ascension. Dante wonders what an ascension was. A mountain of fog was kept in the middle of the room. The minions were dancing around it, playing drums and trumpets. Drillhead tells them all to stop. Dante wonders what was going on. He wonders if it was a mass trip party or something. Drillhead says that he was Drillhead, the king of the underground, and tells his drill soldiers that this moment was when their efforts bear fruit. He says that with the fog they had saved for so long, Drillhead was about to challenge ascension. He asks if his soldiers believe in him, and they all say that they do. They all start chanting for him to ascend. Drillhead laughs and tells the teacher to watch him closely, as this was the true birth of a king. He starts gobbling down as much fog as he can. Dante wonders why Drillhead was taking all the fog by himself. Drillhead keeps pushing the fog inside his mouth, saying that he hadn't had enough yet. The soldiers ask if he feels any change yet. He says that he feels nothing yet while eating more. He starts sweating and shaking, and there were only a few more fog left in the tray. He falls back before he could finish it. The soldiers ask if he was all right. Drillhead curses, saying that maybe today wasn't the day either. He asks why he can't ascend even though he had eaten a ton of fog in his life. A soldier says that maybe Drillhead's vessel for talent was so vast that it needs more fog, and since they have infinite fog now, he could always try again. Drillhead says that there was no helping it, but then one of the soldiers asks if Drillhead's head didn't get a bit longer than before. The others also agree, saying that it definitely has. They start cheering that it was ascension. The soldiers ask if he was feeling his new talents. Drillhead says that he can feel the universe, the place where fog came from. He says that he can see all of the truths about the world. He says that all of them live just like on a pale blue hell, before exploding into pieces. The soldiers all say that it was a fail and rush to the body. Dante now understands what 182 meant by ascension or a fall. They celebrate their boss finally falling while eating the enormous amount of fog left behind, and after the fall, a rain of fog poured down. They all eat as much fog as they could. Drillhead's body was gone within minutes. This was the true grand festival. More people started exploding after their failed ascensions. They were exploding like crazy all around him. One of the soldiers tries to stop everyone, saying that they can't continue to die like this. He tells them to stop eating it. He goes to Dante and tells him to stop them, and tells Dante that he must become their leader now. Dante asks what he was saying. The soldier tells him to take over Drillhead. Dante says that he doesn't want it and starts running, some soldiers running behind him while calling him teacher. Dante asks what was happening. He asks if he was in a bad dream right now. He says that from the very beginning, something like this couldn't happen in reality. He tells himself to wake up. Then in front of him, he sees a silhouette of his brother, saying, "I told you so." His brother asks if he didn't tell Dante this would happen. Dante begs his brother to help him and pull him out of this hell. His brother asks if Dante still doesn't get it. He says that it doesn't matter what Dante looks like. He says that it was all just a ridiculous mask, a ridiculously cowardly mask. Dante screams at his brother, "Enough." Dante was suffering from something called selective prosopagnosia. He doesn't remember his brother's face at all. He just thinks of it as a circle. When they were young, his brother had asked why he was drawn like that and said that Dante couldn't become an artist like this. His brother's face keeps changing, sometimes an angry lion, sometimes a clown, a crying woman, and sometimes it looks like a demon. He thought that it was easier to see him just as a circle instead. The fog reminded him of his brother, and he springs up from his sleep. Inside a tent, he hears a familiar voice calling him teacher. Lychee and Rambutan come inside the tent, asking if Dante was all right. Dante asks if everything was just a dream. Lychee says that they brought him there. She says that Drillhead's hideout was on the map, and that they had found him in the sewers unconscious. He asks if they came to save him. Lychee says, of course, and that they agreed to escape together. Dante was surprised at the response. He apologizes to them for delaying the escape, and tells them that they need to leave immediately. Lychee refuses, saying that Rambutan needs to rest for a while, saying that they had already moved quite far. She tells him to take a look. They were camped right in front of the wall. She says that they found a place without guard towers. In front of the fire, he tells them everything that had happened, about how Drillhead had died, how everyone went insane, and it was total chaos. Rambutan says that it was called falling, death from a fog overdose. He says that he also ate too much of it there. Dante asks what he means. Lychee says that he was just joking. She explains that the more fog a person eats, the more their potential increases. But potential also has a limit, and for every person the limit was different. And once a person reaches their own limit, they just explode, and all the fog they consumed recently just bursts out. Rambutan says that people don't know their limit. He says that even Dante must be good at something but doesn't know where the line of his potential is. He says that this was how fog scatters in this prison. He says that everyone waits for someone else to fall. Ascension or falling, no other outcome. Dante asks what ascension was in that case. He asks if it's surpassing the limit. Rambutan says that it wasn't really about exceeding the limit. It was about double talent emerging, someone who had already reached their maximum gains another talent. When that happens, everyone will follow him and worship him, and he becomes the supreme leader. Rambutan says that ascension was very rare. Mostly, everyone falls. Dante asks why everyone was this eager to risk their life for a second talent. Rambutan says that it was like a legend, that one day, a person would appear with an infinite number of talents. They believe that he will surpass the laws of this world and free them all, that he would become their god, the one they call their supreme leader. Meanwhile, 182 was outside, standing completely still with his eyes closed. He hears birds far above him, inmates fighting each other, inmates pissing in the alleyway, cockroaches walking on the walls, the growling of stomachs. Then he hears the sound of someone picking up glasses, just the way Dante does. His eyes spring open, and he looks in the direction he heard that sound from, saying that he found Dante. Inside Drillhead's hideout, people with hazmat suits collect all the glowing flesh from the ground, putting them into Ziploc bags. An inmate says that this place was truly glowing everywhere. The inmate had a paper bag on his head, and while whistling, says that every day someone falls. Paper Bag says that this guy must have been very focused trying to ascend, and calls Drillhead pathetic. Someone calls Paper Bags a tourist and asks him not to pick up the trash, while offering him a Ziploc bag filled with fog. Paper Bags quickly takes it, saying that the quality was excellent. The man in the suit asks if they had already found the guy he was looking for. Paper Bags asks if the man in the suit was talking about the one-armed man. Paper Bags says that they don't know anything about that. The man in the suit says that it has been a whole year and asks if they can't even find one person. Paper Bag says that this job was quite unprofitable. After all, it was an order from the Fogland Operations Bureau. The man in the suit tells Paper Bags to stop talking nonsense. Paper Bag says that the prices had risen a lot from last year and asks if he could pay them more. The man in the suit says that if they managed to bring him the one-armed man, he could pay them as much as they wanted. Inside the tent at night, Dante was shivering from the cold, thinking that he shouldn't have changed his uniform. The other one was much warmer. Lychee whispers to Rambutan, asking if he was cold. Rambutan whispers back that he was fine now. He says that he was actually super warm. Lychee starts panting, saying that they weren't alone and that they shouldn't do it here. Dante sneezes, letting them know that he was awake. Rambutan asks if Dante wasn't sleeping yet and asks if it wasn't a bit chilly there. Dante says that everything was fine. In the morning, they walk up to the wall. While Rambutan was warming up, Dante looks up at the massive wall, wondering if those bloodstains were there last night. He also finds himself extremely nervous for some reason. He asks if there was anything he could do to help them. Rambutan tells him to hold the bag and says that there was something important they had to do. He asks if Dante was religious. Dante is taken off guard, but says that his family was Catholic. Rambutan cuts him off and asks if Dante could read a prayer. Dante says that he doesn't believe in God. Lychee says that it doesn't matter. She says that in such a desperate situation, everyone should pray. She asks him to pray for a chance to get out and for them to let them go. She asks if he can do that. Dante says that he only knows the Our Father. Rambutan says that it works just fine and tells him to come close so that they can get out of there. Rambutan crouches down, and Lychee tells Dante to start praying. Dante starts praying, and Rambutan starts counting down from 3. On 1, he launches off, but he is met with a fist from 182. They are sent flying back into the ground. Lychee asks if Rambutan was okay. Rambutan asks if Lychee slept well while regaining consciousness. She tells him to get a hold of himself. When the dust settles, he sees 182 standing in front of him. He asks how 182 ended up there. 182 says that Dante lied to him and tells Dante to die while chasing after him. Dante asks what he did. Dante suddenly disappears in front of 182, and Rambutan grabs Dante and runs off. Lychee asks why 182 came there and suddenly attacked them. She tells Rambutan to hit 182 and jump over the wall quickly. When Rambutan looks to the side, 182 is right next to them, telling them to stop. Dante tells Rambutan not to stop. Rambutan wonders why 182 was this fast. He wonders if 182 had the talent for running. 182 tells Dante to stop unless he wanted his legs broken. Dante says that he wasn't even the one running and asks why he was being targeted. 182 swipes Rambutan's legs, making them crash and fall. Dante starts spitting out the sand in his mouth, and 182 comes up to him and stands there, staring at Dante. Dante tells 182 to calm down and asks what he even lied to him about. He says that he told 182 exactly how to grow his sweet potatoes. 182 says that he gave it water and sunlight, but it didn't work. Dante looks at him, surprised, then at his watch, saying that it had only been one day. He asks how it could grow this fast. 182 asks if Dante was wasting his time. Dante asks if 182 was dumb, and 182 tells him to explain. Dante tells him that everything needs time to grow and asks if that wasn't obvious. He says that it would at least need a week to know whether it would grow or not. 182 says that he understands now. He then asks where Dante was going. Dante asks if he didn't already tell 182 that he was leaving and asks if 182 needed anything else. With a serious look, 182 asks if it was because of those people, pointing at Rambutan and Lychee. Dante asks what he was saying and tells him not to touch them. Dante asks if he didn't tell him everything he wanted to know and asks 182 to just let him go. 182 asks if Dante wanted to die. He asks if Dante was ready to die for those people. Rambutan tells him to shut up. Dante starts feeling uneasy. Rambutan asks if the two of them weren't done talking and tells 182 to stop bothering them now. He tells Dante to come to them quickly. Dante asks what 182 was talking about. Rambutan quickly says that it was just nonsense from a guy whose brains were melting. Lychee tells Rambutan to just grab Dante and run. He quickly grabs Dante while Dante tells him to stop. Rambutan tells Dante to pray faster or asks if Dante doesn't want to go out anymore. Dante says that he does want to go out. When they fly past half the wall, Dante thinks that he has a bad feeling about this. They fly to the top of the wall. Dante remembers everything that had happened with Rambutan and Lychee, everything they had gone through together. He thinks that he liked the two of them since they had decided to come together. He thinks that they cared about him. Rambutan pushes Dante off of him, then kicks off him while apologizing, using the momentum to get over the wall. Dante starts falling with the bag he was given. The bag opens, filled to the brim with fog. People watching the statue say that it had moved 30 centimeters today. When they look up, it is gone. They say that someone must be trying to escape again. It appears behind Dante, mouth wide open. Lychee draws a red spot on her map and tells Rambutan not to touch that thing. She says that it was dangerous. She calls it a gargoyle. Rambutan asks if it wasn't just a statue that wouldn't move as long as no one crossed its walls. He asks if it was really alive while kicking it. Lychee tells him not to touch it again. Rambutan says that he doesn't believe that this stupid statue could stop them from escaping. She tells him that there was a saying that the creator came with the fog. Some say it was a protective device made by the government, a tool to prevent fog leakage. The fog on the human body, the fog they breathe, all of it. She says that they don't want the fog to disappear, so they keep blocking anyone who tries to escape. He asks if that means that it can think. She says that she thinks it can. She says that it can sense the fog, that it can immediately know who was thinking about escaping. She says that as long as the gargoyle was there, they would never be able to leave this place. She says that the more they wanted freedom, the more they dreamed about the outside world and sunlight, the more despair grew inside them. Rambutan grabs her arm and says that it won't be like that. He says that there must be a way out for them. He says that he already promised to get her out of this place. He tells her to trust him. If it was for her, he could do anything. On top of the wall, he looks back for a second, seeing the statue appear behind Dante and then eating him. He says that it got him. Laughing, he says that it worked. The fog in Dante's bag and those stupid players. He says that the gargoyle thinks Dante was the one who escaped with the fog. He jumps off to the other side and lands on the ground, looking at the sun. He says that they made it, that they were free. He calls Lychee, but she doesn't answer. He looks back. Her head was missing. The sunlight disappears from in front of his eyes. It was standing right in front of him, Lychee's head in its mouth. It bites down. Rage overtakes him. He jumps at the gargoyle, calling Lychee's name. He jumps up, trying to kick it. The gargoyle opens its mouth again, incinerating his legs in an instant. The gargoyle on the inside starts climbing down. 182 calls Dante an idiot, saying that he already told him that there was no leaving this place. He puts his fist up and starts climbing the wall. He jumps in front of the gargoyle and punches its teeth, cracking them. The gargoyle's eyes start glowing, and it shoots a beam of light, but 182 is fine, grabbing onto its teeth. He calls it annoying before punching it again relentlessly, telling it to break. He manages to break through and looks inside, seeing Dante frozen in fear. Dante looks up at 182 while crying and asks him to help, saying that he was wrong. 182 reaches his arm inside and pulls Dante out of its mouth. Once they land back inside, Dante is still grabbing onto 182's arm, saying that he thought he was dead. He says that he thought 182 came there to kill him and asks why he was acting so terrifying earlier. 182 tells Dante to open his eyes now. Dante opens his eyes. 182 tells Dante to say that he won't go anywhere anymore. The gargoyle approaches them. Dante asks what was happening. He says that they should run and tells 182 to get him out. 182 kicks him down to the ground and tells him to just say that he won't leave again. He says that he told Dante many times that there was no way out of there. He says that he wasn't lying. He tells Dante to hurry and say that he won't leave. Dante says that he will do it. He says that he won't leave again. The gargoyle stares at them for a second. When Dante looks up, it has already disappeared. Dante asks where it went. He asks if it was an illusion. He asks what happened if the couple managed to escape. 182 says that they died. He tells Dante that nothing he saw today was an illusion and that anyone who tries to escape this land dies, no matter how strong they are. No one can defeat the Hollow One. At the Bone Eater's lair, the paper bag kid calls him the cannibal known as the Bone Eater. The kid says that it was a terrifying name and asks if the Bone Eater really eats people or if it was just a cool name to scare people. The Bone Eater says that if the kid wants to know, then the kid could just try. He says that he was also curious what the kid tasted like. The kid tells him to put his tongue away. The Bone Eater says that just touching someone with his tongue was enough for him to know how tasty someone is. The kid tells the Bone Eater to shut up about eating him. The Bone Eater then asks what business the brave kid had coming to his lair. The kid says that he wants the Bone Eater's help finding someone. The kid says that it was prisoner number 182, height 182 cm, 2 moles on the right side of his face, and missing his right arm. The Bone Eater grabs the picture with his tongue and says that 182 looks delicious. He asks if he could eat him. The kid asks what he could do if the Bone Eater likes him. The Bone Eater says that the kid really knows him well and asks who the kid really was. The kid says that he was the same as them. The Bone Eater says that the kid was good with words and that he had never met anyone like the kid before. The kid says that it wasn't strange. He says that he was from a region where only the strong survived. He says that he was a senior of District A. The statue was back in its spot. The inmates call it the winged golem. The inmates ask if it was going to kill everyone this time, while another inmate points at its teeth, which were broken. One inmate asks what happened to it and why its teeth were broken. Another asks if something like this could even happen. A man in a hood appears beside them, saying that it was an omen. The inmates call him Baba Yaga. Baba Yaga starts laughing, and the inmates say that he opened his mouth for the first time after 5 years, and that his breath smells absolutely awful. Baba Yaga says that it was an omen, that a crack has appeared in the chain. The inmates ask if it was a prophecy and tell the others to quickly write it down. Baba Yaga says that the bird has taken flight. He says that the day is approaching. Dante asks what the Hollow One was. He asks if it was that enormous white thing. He asks if it killed Lychee and Rambutan. 182 says that there wasn't just one Hollow One, that there were more of them. He says that it was something that hunts those who try to leave Fogland and kills them. Dante says that it wasn't possible. He says that Lychee and Rambutan never mentioned something like that. 182 says that they were liars. Dante says that something like this was even harder for him to believe. Going outside means death by a monster. Dante asks how a monster like that could exist and the outside world not know anything about it. 182 tells him to shut up. He says that he already saw it with his own eyes. He says that there was no way out of this place. Dante falls to the ground, saying that it was impossible. He says that it can't be true. 182 punches him and tells him to shut up again. Back at 182's house, after having lunch, Dante thinks that there was no way it was really a monster, and that it should be some kind of prison security system that causes hallucinations, or maybe a machine. Whatever it was a system strong enough to trap these abnormal inmates. He thinks that he was just bait, that it was really close for him. They were a couple standing at the threshold between life and death. There was no time for them to worry about others. From the very beginning, there were red flags, but because he was so obsessed with escaping, he didn't think clearly. He wonders why 182 saved him. He wonders what 182 could be hiding. This time, it wasn't because of the sweet potatoes, nor because of the clothes, not even the fog. He wonders if 182 was just a good person, even though Dante said cruel things to him, even though he treated him coldly. Dante sees 182's swollen hand and asks what happened to it. 182 quickly hides his hand behind him and says that he was fine. Dante says that it looks really strange. He says that the swelling got even bigger than before and says that they should definitely go to the hospital. 182 says that he was fine and that it was just a little fractured. Dante says that being this swollen wasn't normal and asks if it hurts. 182 immediately says that it does. Dante grabs the swollen hand and asks if it really didn't hurt. 182 starts inhaling while shaking. Dante realizes that 182 was just enduring it. Dante makes a makeshift cast for the arm and says that this should help. 182 says that he doesn't want it and tells Dante to take it off. Dante tells him that it was just a temporary measure and says that it would hurt more if he keeps moving it. 182 tells Dante to take it off, as he still needed to eat. Dante says that he won't be able to eat even if he takes it off. 182 says that he needs to go to the bathroom. Dante asks if 182 knows how serious this was. He says that if 182 doesn't get treated, his arm would be useless forever. He asks if 182 could survive in the prison with just his legs. 182 quiets down. Dante says that right now, they were just two weak idiots and just brushing against someone outside, or if they ran into a thug outside, they would both die before they realized it. 182 says that they can go to the hospital then. Dante asks what 182 just said. 182 says that he said hospital. Dante asks if there was even a hospital in there. He asks 182 to remember correctly and make sure that he wasn't mistaking one of those prison butchers. 182 says that a doctor lives there. Dante asks if it was a real doctor. 182 says that he doesn't know. Dante facepalms and asks if he even exists. 182 says that he fought with the doctor before. He says that it was somewhere in Zone 0. Dante says that this place was much bigger than it looked and that he saw that couple drawing a map. Then he realizes the map was in that bag he was given. He runs to the bag, asking if it could be inside it, and alas, it was inside with a bunch of fog. He lifts the map up, sending the fog flying everywhere. Dante's mother always used to say that everything happened for a reason. Even though he didn't believe in God, he agreed with that statement. If you can't stand up after falling, then failure and adversity become a great legacy. After looking through the map, he sees that there really was a hospital in the prison, and there was all kinds of information on the map. The entire structure of the place looked like a pizza, and the couple had only managed to draw 4 zones. He searches for a headquarters that controls everything, but the map cuts off before getting to the center. But then he sees that it was just folded and taped down. He removes the tape to see another sheet. It has a building marked Fog HQ. He says that there was a control center right in the middle of Fogland and general headquarters. He tells 182 that he has a plan and that they were going to the center. 182 was high on fog. Meanwhile, in a different location, at the information broker's office, the broker says that he had been earning really well lately, and that if he was lucky, he would find the one-armed man quickly. His name was Kasim, the information broker. One of his men peeks in and says that they have a customer. Kasim quickly tells the man to let the customer in. The customer hesitates. A massive man enters the building and stands in front of Kasim. Kasim knew that this was the real deal, a locked guard to control his gluttony, a monstrous body, the most dangerous being among the thugs of Zone Zero. He hardly appeared outside his lair. Kasim asks what Bone Eater needed. Bone Eater shows Kasim a picture of 182. Kasim wonders if this was the same guy that Hound was looking for. Bone Eater asks if Kasim had seen 182 before. Kasim thinks that he was lucky getting a double request like this. Kasim says that he already looked into 182 and that the information had competition. He asks how much Bone Eater was paying for the information. Bone Eater says that the price was Kasim's life. Bone Eater says that it was a fair trade. Kasim, unable to determine if it was a joke or not, laughs nervously, saying that Bone Eater was quite boring. He asks if Bone Eater doesn't know that attacking an information broker was against the rules of the underworld. Bone Eater tells Kasim to let him have a taste of Kasim's ear. He says that he wants to know what kind of texture it had, followed by a loud, pained scream from within the office. Bone Eater leaves the photo of 182 and leaves, while Kasim is left with one less ear, saying that it was delicious and warm, like the taste of the sea. Bone Eater tells Kasim to find 182 quickly before he starts craving Kasim's flavor once again.